Aries, how's it going, guys? This is Cameron White with YALL, giving you guys your individual sun sign forecast for January of 2018. So, Aries, let's get started with it. Saturn just went into Capricorn. Over your guys' solar midheaven is going through your guys' 10th house, as well with Jupiter in Scorpio. Mars is in Scorpio as well. This is going on in your 8th house. Mars is conjuncting Jupiter this month, and we'll be going into Sagittarius on the 26th at 7:55 a.m. That, I think, is going to be a big trigger point for you guys, is the whole Mars energy. As Saturn kind of goes into Capricorn, he's been in your 9th house, he's been trining your sun, he's been probably trying some other things going on in your chart if you're an Aries, but having that Saturn trine your sun can feel very enlightening, especially as Saturn goes through your 9th house, which is all about, spirituality, finding yourself more, understanding, learning, education, travel, freedom, those type of Sagittarian qualities. And as Saturn was going through there, it was kind of like, part of this life may have felt very restricted. However, it was trining your sun, so it felt as if it was natural, as if you should be going down this direction, as if you were able to break free of the limits that you were kind of putting on yourself. And as Saturn goes through your 10th house, starting to square your sun, you could see a lot more of restrictions coming up as far as, what you want to do, what you want to express versus what the universe is kind of tailoring your experience towards. Meaning, having the sun in Aries, you're such a confident individual. You're so, I don't want to say like a natural leader, because I feel like that's not the right word. You guys are just so independent. Aries are so unique and original, not necessarily in the Aquarian or Pisces way where it's like, oh, look at me, artsy, whatever. But with Aries, it's like, this is the way that we do things, this is the way you want to go about things, it's all focused on you. And as Saturn squares that, you might have to, in a sense, give up a lot of what your, freedoms, what your freedoms are in order to build more structure and to have that sort of image that you're really looking for, and to have that system in place to where you're in that, where you're comfortable with your environment, where you're in control of your surroundings, you're in control of where you live, you're in control of your situation and how you present yourself and how people see you. So this month is going to be starting off this whole Saturn square your sun for the next 3 years, so that's going to be a very minuscule thing. However, as Jupiter and Mars go through your 8th house, Jupiter is going to be going through your 8th house this whole year. This is to keep in mind, what really is the truth. When Saturn went through your 8th house back in, what was that, 2012, 2011 to 2014, basically, around there, 2012, 2014, 15, when Saturn went through Scorpio, you learned a lot of the truth of the emotions that you have and what things mean to you. And you had to expose and expel certain things that were no longer serving you. You could have had a lot of emotional hardship. And as Jupiter goes through your 8th house, this is the time to really go, okay, these are what my beliefs about that situation are, and how can you implement them in the most positive way. And by doing that, you got to always refer back to that truth, that inner truth that you guys have had, that you guys have discovered. As Mars goes through here, though, this is what's really interesting, is that as Mars goes through here and starts conjuncting Jupiter, you're going to start to see a lot of the things that happened a couple years ago. I shouldn't say a couple years ago, quite a while ago. 2012 to 2014, 2015. You're going to see a lot of that stuff come to fruition. Start to take action on a lot of those beliefs that you had to figure out. I shouldn't say even those beliefs. Saturn went through that. It was really just figuring out the raw emotion, experiencing that raw emotion, getting down to the truth. And as Jupiter goes through here, we go, all right, what are our beliefs around that? The universe is testing, you guys, as far as what is the truth behind all that? What is the truth behind your emotions? How do you want to transform? How do you want to get bigger? How do you want to really purge out the negativity in your life? And how do you want to rise up? And as Mars conjuncts Jupiter, it's time to take those initial beliefs that you have and start taking action on them. And so you're going to see that a little bit more. And Mars is in Scorpio, and he is in his 8th house where he likes to be in your guys' chart. So just keep that in mind. It's going to be quincunxing your guys' sun in some sort of an aspect. So be careful. This may be a little extreme, but this is also going to be really beneficial. And Aries can handle this type of energy. If it's anyone that can handle a lot of shit going on, it's an Aries. But as Mars goes through Scorpio, put that energy out there. Really, cut the bullshit with where you're acting on, and get down to the truth. You're gonna start seeing a lot of your initial intentions and where your energy is being derived to when it's going to be more focused on these sensitive issues. It's going to be more focused on how to really get that part of your life, that part of your, your mind, that belief system structure, what we're talking about with Jupiter, putting all the positive, happy thoughts, putting all of this emphasis on your beliefs around pain, your beliefs around death, your beliefs about transformation and about purging, and really start taking action on that. So you can probably see that in your initial energy. So that's just the big thing. Just keep that in mind. It's going to be, wired up. Mars is in Scorpio. It's extra charged right now, so keep that in mind. Could be feeling that extra push to go and do stuff. However, then Mars will go into Sagittarius, enter your 9th house, start trining your sun. That's when it's going to feel like things are really like in alignment with you as far as your energy goes, and that happens on the 27th, on that Saturday. Wait, is that right? Yeah, the 27th is Saturday. And as that happens, you could feel it a lot more harmonious. Everything that you went through with the Mars and Scorpio energy being really extreme and very sensitive, may I mind you, as Mars goes into Sagittarius, you're going to start to see a lot more of the fruition of those beliefs that you have really come into a more natural and very harmonious way when you want to start to take action on the things that you want to build yourself up on. How are you going to raise your natural vibration? How are you going to really step into that full Aries power? And that's going to be with this Mars and Sag, and you're going to find yourself exploring more of what you can believe, exploring more of what is possible, putting your energy into the unknown, and really going for what this whole Saturn and Sagittarius thing is about, as far as where do we see ourselves? Where's our vision? What path are we taking? And Mars and Sagittarius trining you guys' sun is actually taking that path. So keep that in mind. Venus is in Capricorn going over your 10th house, so this is also squaring your sun, so this is probably a little bit of an uncomfortable time, really having to detach away from the emotional things and kind of figure out, get some sort of a structure going in line, in alignment as far as what your values are, your relationships, your love life. Really just going, hey, this is what I got to focus on. This is what I really got to put more attention to. This is what I need to build. Venus in Capricorn is all about building. Venus in Capricorn, it's kind of like, I always like to think of her as like the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, like a woman, like is like the leader of that. And I mean, like, even though it's super stereotypical of like, the woman being in power, she's super cold, super raw, always about money, blah, 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 blah. That's that Venusian energy in Capricorn, though, about really building something that means something to you, really putting your whole heart into something, and detaching away from the emotional aspects of loss, of sorrow, of, not having, of scarcity, because this is Capricorn. It's time to build. It's time to put your energy in that, and you can start to really value right now things that have more structure, things that make more sense, things that are more realistic right now. So you find that energy, and as you get comfortable in that energy and you start to build around it, Venus will then enter Aquarius on the 18th. And as Venus enters Aquarius on the 18th, this is the time to fully express that energy. You've been building something for a while, as far as your emotions go, as far as relationships go, as far as what you're, you want to be invested in, what makes you happy. And as Venus goes through Capricorn, you might have built something upon that, and you're really trying to create something and make it have structure, make it make sense, make it realistic, bring it back down to reality, even though the universe can kind of be doing that for you. As Venus goes into Aquarius, though, is after you experience all this great, I shouldn't say great Venus in Capricorn energy, but after you experience that Venus in Capricorn energy, it's time to really see what is possible after that. Build the structure in your life. What do you really value? Stop, put your whole heart into getting your shit together, basically. This isn't really a time to let your Venus energy go crazy. This is the time to go, like, I'm really valuing and I really want to put my investment into, making things have structure, making things make sense, making things more realistic in my life. And as Venus goes into Aquarius, after you guys accomplish that, you're going to start to see a whole new world in front of you. And you're going to start to see a lot more of the possibilities after the 18th of, what it is that you could put your energy to, what it is that's really calling out to your heart right now. Even with relationships, whether you're single or you're in a relationship, this Capricorn Aquarius shift is going to be like, okay, like, I'm feeling, empowered, but I'm focused on realistic things, really putting your head to the ground. But with Venus and Aquarius, it's kind of like, well, now I can bring in a whole new load of energy, a whole new creativity to myself, a whole new creativity to what it is that I do, what it is that I value, where it is that I'm putting my heart and soul into. And so when Venus goes into Aquarius, keep that in mind. You're going to be opening up to a lot different things. It's going to be sextiling your sun, so that's a great energy. Mercury is direct this month, is flying through Sag, going through Capricorn, and then on February 1st, actually, will be entering Aquarius. Mercury going through your 9th house, this whole retrograde was really just about understanding, what your really beliefs are. Where have you been in the past couple of years? What have you learned? What do you believe, especially? And as Mercury starts to fly forward in January, you're going to start to see a lot of that Mercury retrograde stuff you worked on come up in a very spiritual manner, very philosophical manner, going back down to the root of the cause, like, why are you going on this direction in your life? Why are you focused on these things in your life? What really happened to bring that spark of creativity and adventure in your life? And as Mercury goes forward through it, it's time to start, we've learned, we've experienced, we've been through it, time to start working that energy in our mind. It's time to start applying that in a broader sense, getting more clear on that vision, getting more specific on where it is that you're going, being more in alignment with your path. Then Mercury will go into Capricorn, and it's time to make that real. Again, Venus going into Capricorn is building these structures and really putting the emphasis and the value into wanting to create that in your life. But Mercury is you putting that in your mindset every single day. As Mercury goes through Sagittarius, it's kind of like, well, I'm kind of, just everywhere. You can still kind of feel that energy. However, as Mercury goes into Capricorn, you're going to be like, well, how do I want to do this? Where do I want to put more structure in my life? Where do I want to build more things? And as Mercury, because Mercury is basically your self-dialogue, your internal dialogue, I should say, how you talk to yourself, what you're really thinking about, and how you really communicate and write with others. And this is the time to really focus on, okay, where can you put your mindset at? Where can you start focusing on the structure in your life? How can you make a routine and some structure within inside your head? Because again, Mercury rules the 6th and the 3rd house, all about asking questions and understanding and daily habits and routines. What can we really put emphasis on as far as our mindset going into where do we want to build structure? Where do we want to have better results? Where do we want to make things more efficient? And then as you go through this throughout January, Mercury will go into Aquarius, again, just like Venus, and you'll have this whole open-mindedness. It's like a whole new world. It's like after you focus on, it's like building a business. After you focus on the little tiny things, you can really then, once you get, the tiny things together and you build, the basis of it, the foundation, then it's kind of like, well, then you can have fun with the artsy stuff and whatnot. Uranus is also going direct. For all you last degree Aries, Uranus is going direct, and it's going to fly through the rest of your sun signs until Uranus goes into Taurus. So congratulations. You guys are going to feel a lot more of this liberation. This is the last. This isn't the last time Uranus is going to go into Aries. It's not the last time he will retrograde back into Aries later on this year as well. However, for the first time, you're going to have Uranus go all the way through your sign now. And it's going to feel very clean, very liberating. Finally, like you guys finally get it. So that's going to be exciting. We're having the full moon in Cancer, the new moon in Capricorn. Again, your 10th and your 4th house. This full moon in Cancer is going to bring up a lot of stuff going on in your private life. What's going on at home? Where are your emotions at? It's going to bring up a lot of the, it's going to bring up a lot of the emotional need as to why you should invest your time into building more structure into your life. What's going to happen in your home life? Where are your emotions really sensitive, and where is your gut kind of telling you? That's going to be that sort of a day, or that, that's happening on the 2nd, the full moon in Cancer, between the 1st and the 2nd of January, and you're going to feel a whole new type of energy. You're going to feel very serious. It's going to feel very serious. It's going to feel very emotional about where it is that you need to be applying yourself in your life, because this full moon in Cancer is going to bring up really sensitive issues regarding, what's really going on internally, what's going on in your home and private life, with your parents, with any of that sort of stuff. So keep that in mind. Then the sun will go into Aquarius, of course, on the 20th. So it's still dealing with this Capricorn energy squaring your sun, and then it will be sextiling your sun as we go into Aquarius season. And that's just going to feel, it's going to feel a little bit, I shouldn't say rough. I think Capricorn and Aries kind of work pretty well together, even though they're squared signs. But that earth-fire energy really blends pretty well. And you're going to see yourself, again, more emphasized on structure, not really being able to fully express yourself, and that's okay. When the sun goes into Aquarius, that will be a whole nother story. You'll start to feel like liberated, like I said, and positive, optimistic, being able to be creative and have fun again. So don't worry about that. But that's what's going on for you guys this month. Super excited to see how you guys come out of this, and that's what I got for you guys. So I look forward to seeing you guys next month.